Hi, I'm Brian Noland.
And I'm Bethany Flora.
And together we're going to be working with you throughout the course of the semester here in Global Sports Leadership 6900, a focus on organizational theory and behavior. What we'd like to do in this introduction is just to provide a little bit of background on ourselves, our personal journey here to East Tennessee State University, and then we'll move through some of the basic elements of the syllabus as well as assignments throughout the course of the semester. So as I referenced a few seconds ago, my name is Brian Noland. I have the honor to serve as president of the institution, but I have the double honor this fall of serving as a co-faculty member for this course. A little bit on my background. I have bachelor and master's degree in political science from West Virginia University, PhD in political science from the University of Tennessee at Knoxville. You may think, why in the world does a political science person work through the aspects associated with an organizational theory course? And the answer to that question is simple. The basics and backgrounds of org theory, of leadership, are consistent across disciplines. And the more that I've had the opportunity to learn about higher education, about political science, about public administration, healthcare administration, or global sports leadership, I really firmly believe that the basics of organizational theory, the basics of leadership, are constant across disciplines. So Dr. Flora and I together will walk through some of the foundational literature in organizational theory. We'll talk some about its application to the world of sport, and then we'll move through the context of that world of sport within higher education as a whole. Because from my background, that's where I'm excited about the course. From the time that I've worked at the Tennessee Higher Education Commission, the opportunity that I had to be system chancellor in the state of West Virginia, and then here at ETSU, one of the things that I've experienced during that time period is a true belief that the athletic department is one of many departments within an institution. And as you examine universities where there have been challenges within the athletic department, it's because individuals in those departments quite often view themselves as an island. What we're going to stress throughout the semester, and what I'll stress from an applied perspective, is the critical role that you as leaders within your field play in the university as a whole. Not athletics for the sake of athletics, but athletics as part of the corpus of the university. I'm excited about the opportunity to dialogue with you throughout the course of the semester, and I'm excited by the opportunity to learn together with you and my colleague, Dr. Flora, as the semester unfolds. So Bethany, I'll turn it to you.
Well, thank you, and I look forward to being part of this class as well. It's a real joy to be here, and it brings together probably two of my major passions for higher education. One, org theory. I have a background in business, so my bachelor's degree and master's were both in business, one from UVA-Wise, the other the master's from Tusculum College right down the road here. My PhD is in higher education administration from Virginia Tech, where a cognate for me was organizational theory. So being part of this class and talking org theory is something that I could do all day long. I really wish we were in a face-to-face class so we could do that. Secondly, I was a college athlete. I was a freshman starter, volleyball, basketball at Averett University my first year. Brittany, a number 2 guard, Lindsay, an outside hitter, and transferred actually after my freshman year because I was also a double major and my grades were not great. So I transferred to UVA-Wise, finished out my last 3 years at UVA-Wise only playing volleyball, and then was an RA as well. So this global sport leadership org theory class really brings together two things that I'm passionate about, and I look forward to getting to know you all better and talking through some of the topics of this class. So I'll turn it over to you to talk about the objectives and the topics.
I want to walk through the objectives and topics as Dr. Flora just outlined, but I also want to talk some about the assignments. Anytime you move into a course, one of the first questions a student asks is how many assignments do we have and how long do the papers need to be? So the first question is easy to answer. There will be 4 assignments in terms of how long those need to be. Much of that's up to your own discretion, and we'll have a conversation about that as the class unfolds. But the first major assignment is assignment 1, an organizational paper, in which we're going to ask you to work through one of the readings in the course, Scoreboard Baby, that tells the story of the University of Washington and challenges that the University of Washington, both as an institution, as an athletic department, and then as a football program, experienced at the turn of the 2000s. We're going to assign to each of you a role within that institution. So one may be the president, another the athletic director, another a CFO, another the head of the Alumni Association. But each student in the course will be assigned a role, and then we'll ask you to walk through that experience at Washington from your respective administrative position. We'll provide further details about that assignment as the semester unfolds, but really an opportunity for you to put on an applied hat and examine through various lenses a challenge that really took apart an institution on the West Coast, an institution that really is still looking to recover from some of the challenges that they faced at the beginning of the 2000s. The next is a literature critique, and I'll turn to Dr. Flora to talk about assignments 2 and 3.
So in this critique, you're going to be partnering two things. One is the Bowman and Deal textbook. That is the organizational theory textbook that pretty much every student of org theory reads. It's the seminal work by Lee Bowman, Terrence Steele, I believe I got their names right. And they go over 4 different frames: human resource, political, structural, and cultural frames, symbolic frames, to look at organizations. Think about organizational theories as windows that you look through to examine things. So this takes the reading of organizational theory and you'll apply it to the case study $1 Billion Ball. So there's 2 readings at play here in this assignment. And one way to think about this, if you choose to analyze $1 Billion Ball from the structural perspective, and let's just say there's an NCAA violation in the book, you would talk about roles, responsibilities, and hierarchy. You would not talk about things like equity or fairness because that's the human resource frame. If you talked about the NCAA violation from a human resource frame, that's where you would talk about motivations, equity, fairness, punishments, rewards. Those are the types of topics that you would talk about if you analyze $1 Billion Ball from that frame. Political frame, you might want to talk about the factions that were created from that violation, any type of resource competitions, jockeying for position, building coalitions, those types of things. And then symbolically, if you chose that frame to talk about the $1 Billion Ball case, you might rotate through the rituals, the ceremonies, the customs and traditions that are at play in the case that you analyze. So that's what the paper is. Now, one of the things we wanted to add for you all is this interactive component where you conduct peer reviews of one another's work. Now, this might be a little weird for some of you, and it normally is for the students that I teach, because we're asking you to post your papers in the discussion forum, which means everyone will be reading everyone else's papers. And that raises the bar. It also keeps you kind of motivated. And we want you to critique one another's papers. So we'll have 3 reviewers per paper. And if you look in the content module, you will see there is a matrix that shows you who's reviewing whom's paper. So each of you have 3 reviewers reviewing your paper. And there's also a rubric that you'll use to review those. We want to make it easy for you. So pull down the rubric, read one another's paper that you're assigned to, and then submit that back to the associated discussion forum. And there'll be more details to follow as we go along the way.
And then the final element really asks you to dissect an organizational challenge at the institution that you call home. So for those of you who work here at ETSU, it's an opportunity for you to dive into 3 major challenges that we face at the university, to outline why those challenges exist, to talk about remedial strategies to address those challenges, and then your implementation frame. Would ask that you align those topics within the organizational theories that we've covered throughout the course of the semester. This is really a chance for you to take apart your institution and put it back together again. For those of you who are at institutions outside of ours here in Johnson City, a chance for you to do likewise. This is one that I'm looking forward to, particularly because it's an opportunity for us all to learn together. But this will be the final major assignment within the course. Now, on to the readings. As you will see in the syllabus, there's a significant amount of assigned reading throughout the course of the semester. This is a class focused on theory. It may be one of the few theory-leading courses that you'll have during your doctoral experience here at the university. So in order for you to understand the broad concepts that frame those respective theories, we felt it was critical that you really dived into the literature. We have placed the book orders up through Brian Johnston in advance of the posting of the syllabus on D2L, so hopefully you've been able to take advantage of that opportunity and order your materials in advance of the class. We've also been mindful of cost and wanted to ensure that we had a breadth of literature, but minimizing the cost that would be incurred to you and your families as you work through the course assignments. But as you move through the course materials, you'll see at the beginning the focus on the Bowman and Deal work, as well as some supplemental readings. and we'll turn to Dr. Fleur here just to talk a little bit about the first couple of weeks, and then I'll pick up the readings on the back half of the class.
So the first few weeks, you guys are going to get into truly the foundational elements of organizational theory. So not so much global sport here, but more org theory here. The Bowman and Dill readings, the ASH readings that we're giving you truly relates to higher education and organizational theory of higher education organizations. They're excellent readings, and I challenge you to spend a lot of time with those readings so that you are better acquainted with the way universities work organizationally and the dynamics there within organizations like higher education institutions. We're a unique enterprise, and so it's important to become familiar with the way we work. And if you can understand it, let us know, because it's pretty complex. Then I'll turn over the case studies to you, Dr. Floyd.
I want to follow up on a comment that Dr. Fleur made with respect to the conceptualization of higher education. Universities, particularly large, complex institutions such as ours, are diverse and dynamic entities. And the hope is through the ASH readings that you'll gain a deeper appreciation of the complexity of higher education, of the foundational structures for the places that we call home, and then the role that athletic departments play within the organization as a whole. So I want to echo her comments and hope that you'll spend some time in detail on those readings. They're meaty. We'll have supplemental lecture materials related to them as we get into the semester, but cannot stress enough the importance of really digging into that section on the nature, function, purpose, background of the organizational structure that we call home, i.e. the modern American university. Within the case readings, the scoreboard baby material as well as billion-dollar ball are both elements that will comprise individual assignments throughout the semester. The scoreboard baby tells the story of the University of Washington. Billion-dollar ball is really a critique of the modern American landscape with respect to intercollegiate athletics. It talks about the dominant role that one sport, football, plays within that landscape, and how everything from organizational structures to Title IX, to gender equity issues associated with Title IX, all the way down to student behavior matters and disciplinary courts, etc., from a student affairs perspective, run through that one sport and the dominant role that that one sport plays in American higher education. Once again, that will be a focused area from an assignment perspective. Then as we drop down into the next portion of the class, there'll be a series of readings on traditional administrative and governance models in higher education, where you'll learn about the role of faculty senates. You'll learn about the nature and purpose of the various elements that comprise our institutions. Then we'll talk some about leadership as a whole, the ambiguity of leadership, theories that apply to higher education leadership as a whole, and then reflections on the presidential experience within institutions. Continuing moving forward through the reading materials as we get into the months of November, and then wrap up with the institutional assessment. As I referenced, we'll provide detailed lectures related to the materials contained within the syllabus, but we just wanted to use this opportunity to introduce ourselves to you and to briefly introduce the course to you. Once again, really excited about the start of the semester. Look forward to working and learning with all of you throughout the semester. Bethany and I have not done this together in terms of team teaching a course, so we're excited. We thank you for your patience with us as we all learn together here in the fall 16 semester at East Tennessee State University.
Thank you. We'll see you soon.